All right, Tigers, here we go. Podcast 5.5, price elasticity supply. Remember, price elasticity today, and then with the end of the podcast, we'll go over what the rest of the week looks like. Remember, quiz on Friday, okay? So when we're talking about law of supply, right, price, quantity, supply, right, we said that there is a direct relationship between, between price, I can't do this the right way. There we go. Price and quantity supply. Okay? Elasticity of supply, guys. And the biggest thing about this, guys, it's based on time limitations, meaning how long does it take to make something, right? Formula doesn't change. And remember, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. Okay? So just like price elasticity demand, the sign doesn't matter. For cross price, for demand, it matters. For income, elasticity, demand, it matters. But these ones, it doesn't matter. Okay? So inelastic means they have an inelastic supply. It's a very steep curve. Elastic says it has a very flat curve. We'll diagnose what that means in a little bit. Okay? Perfectly inelastic, there's a set quantity supply. Example, where there's only so many things, like seats in a stadium or seats on an airplane, right? Perfectly inelastic in regard to that point. And we'll get to some of that point forward here, okay? So, coefficient of elasticity. So how do you calculate that? It's just like the old ones, right? So we said if it's inelastic, okay, that means it's going to be less than 1. Okay? If it's elastic, it's going to be greater than 1. And if it's perfectly inelastic, the quantity doesn't move at all. Okay? So if we're talking about things that are elastic, okay, general rules of things that are elastic, right? They can be quickly made with cheap and available resources. You know, t-shirts, right? Hats, tacos. Easy to do, right? Done, and not a problem there. Inelastic goods take a lot of time, and the goods are not readily available. Right, so that shouldn't be that a big deal to get to that point, right? So here's a good worksheet here. We make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see. Right? Okay, remember, greater than 1, elastic. Equal 1, unit elastic. Less than 1, inelastic. Change of quantity over change of price, right? Always, okay? So quantity supply of bookcases increases by 8%. So 8 is the quantity, 5 is the thing. 8 over 5 is, it's 1.6, right? So put that right there. This is 5 over 5, equals 1. And this one is 3 over 5 equals 0.6. So when we look at this right now, 1.6 is elastic. 1 is unit elastic. And 0.6 is inelastic throughout. Okay. What you'll see with regard to time is, as soon as there's a change in price, supply is highly inelastic. You see how vertical it is, right? So the the market period. Okay? Meaning you can't really ramp up production yet. In the short run, firms can start to change to what's going on. And then in the long run, firms have time to adjust what's going on and things become elastic. So understand what we're talking about in terms of like ventilators with this coronavirus issue, right? Early on, we were sort of stuck with however many ventilators there were. And as time goes on, the curve becomes more elastic as more firms come online or Ford or General Motors start deciding to make more of these goods. Okay? So things down here like antiques and gold, guys, are very inelastic because you can't find it. You can't find antiques. A painting by Van Gogh, there's only a couple of them because he's dead. Right? So some of those things you have to understand going forward. Okay? So here, beachfront resorts. Okay? there's not too many of them, so they're going to have a highly inelastic supply because there's not a lot of them. While cars are going to have a big elastic supply, right? So suppose a population boom doubles demand for both products. Draw 2 graphs on the market depicting beachfront resorts. Well, here's the thing. When you look at what's going on here in terms of beachfront resorts, this is probably what the supply curve for a beachfront resort looks like. This is probably what the supply curve for cars looks like. Okay? Right? Move it that way. So, and the effect of a population boom on each. Well, if you move the demand out, okay, and I can do that with a different color here. Give me another line just to show you what's going to happen here. Look, there's the demand curve moving out. There's the demand curve moving out. Notice, let's go black here for a minute, the change in price. It was there, now it's all the way up here. That's a huge change in price. For an elastic good, there's the price. Look, there's a new change. Not a big deal. So what happens to both equilibrium price and quantity in each market? They both increase, right? But which product experiences a larger change in price? Well, it's real simple. It's the beachfront resorts, right? Which good has a larger change in quantity? It's probably cars, because more people are able to go with them. What happens to total consumer spending on each product? They both increase. So that's not a big deal going forward to that point. Okay? So understand that supply is going forward. So just like the last one, you'll have to be able to go through and calculate which one is which at that point. Again, pause day Wednesday, review Thursday. Friday we have our quiz. Hope you guys have a great day. Go Tigers.